Hallelujah, praise God church. My name is Jordan. So today I want us to learn about the story of Joseph. Who is Joseph? We're going to learn about Joseph, the son of Jacob or Israel, not Joseph, the father of Jesus. We shall also learn about Joseph, the father of Jesus, but not now, in times to come. So we're going to learn about the life of Joseph. Who was Joseph? How he lived. And then we are going to first read the full chapters that talk about Joseph. After us understanding the Bible, then we are going to be revising them or revealing what was in the scriptures on the life of Joseph. So we are going to begin from Genesis chapter 37, then we shall go up to the end or up to chapter 45 or 47, where his story ends. How came into existence and how the Lord used him, how he managed to rest in peace. So we're going to begin from Genesis chapter 37 and we'll learn about Joseph, the son of Jacob. Without wasting much of your time, let us dive in. Genesis chapter 37 verse 1. It says, Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Behal and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their family a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. The word ornate robe means a coat with many colors, as you can see in KJV, because I've been reading NIV. When we read it in KJV gives us a meaning. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors, which NIV has called an ornate robe for him. Verse 4. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, Listen to this dream I had. When we were binding sheaves of grain means the firewood. Like you collect firewood and you bind them together. Like wood. Because sheaves of grain, they mean like when you harvest, when maize grows and you cut off those and you harvest the maize, but those remaining ones, they are the ones which are called sheaves of grains. They're like the stake, and you bind them together, and you collect many, and you tie them with a rope. Sheaves of grain out in the field. When suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. His brothers said to him, Do not intend to reign over us. Will you actually rule us? It's a question they're asking him. And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream and he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream, and this time the sun and moon and even stars were bowing down to me. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's strokes near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks. Israel here is the name of Jacob. You can remove Israel and put Jacob, because God named him Israel because Jacob, by then, it was meaning thief. And God decided to change his name from Jacob because they named him thief because he had stolen his brother's blessing. And Israel and Jacob said to Joseph, As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them. Very well, he replied. So he said to him, Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived to Shechem, a man found him wandering around the fields and asked him, What are you looking for? He replied, I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks? They have moved on from here. The man answered, I heard them saying, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Plotting means they were changing minds. Let us kill him. Or they were planning to kill him. It's another word to mean plot. They plotted, or they thought to kill him, or they planned to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said to each other. They called him dreamer because he dreamed the other two dreams and told them those two dreams to them. And when he told them those dreams, they got jealous. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns. And the cisterns mean a well which is draw, like they drill a well. When water rains, or when it rains, water comes in and it collects there. When they come, they just fetch it, or they throw a bucket inside there and they fetch the water. That's the meaning of cisterns. Here, come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns, and say that a furious animal devoured him. Then we will see what comes of his mind. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Now, Reuben was the oldest son of Jacob, or of Israel. That's why he was trying to defend his youngest brother. Do not shed any blood. Throw him into this cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. He told them, let us not kill our brother. Let us get our brother and throw him in the cistern, such that we don't shed blood. But what Reuben, the oldest brother of them, was planning, that when they get him, they put them into this one of the cistern or the well. Then when they go, he gets his brother and takes him back home. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the alternate robe, and he was wearing. So when they were planning all that when he was far. So when he came, they grabbed him, they removed the other coat that his father made for him, the coat which has many colors, and when they caught him, verse 24, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, there was no water in it. So when they got him, they removed the other coat that his father had made for him, then they threw him into the cistern. Let's continue. And they sat down to eat their meal. They looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites who took him to Egypt. Now, I've searched on Google and I found that 20 shekels of silver, to date, they mean $7. So they sold their brother at only $7. According to Google, when Reuben returned to Seston and saw that Joseph was not there, and he told his brothers, he went back to his brothers and said, the boy isn't here. Where can I turn now? So they planned to sell him. When they were planning, their elder brother told them, let us not kill him. Let us just get him and throw him to the cistern. Then for him, he went to graze the sheep. Then when these middle brothers, who his younger brothers were there, when Joseph came, they grabbed him, they removed the other coat which his father made for him, a coat of many colors, and they threw him in the cistern. So when they were seated in the cistern, they ate food. After eating food, they saw the group of Mediterraneans that were coming. Those Mediterraneans were the people who used it to buy slaves. And they took him, and these brothers got him. They took him, they sold him for $7. And then their elder brother came. He didn't find his brother, or his little brother Joseph, inside the cistern. And in the verse 31 says, then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the anointed robe back to their father and said, we found this. Examine it and see whether it's your son's robe. He recognized it and said, this is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been into pieces. Then Jacob or Israel tore his clothes, put on the sackcloth, and mourned for his son for many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. No, he said, I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave. So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of So we have finished verse chapter 37 that we have been reading. Meanwhile, Midian sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guards. So we have finished chapter 1. Let us go to the second chapter, which is Genesis chapter 38. So we have finished reading where the story of Joseph when he was with his father and how he was sold. So let us go to chapter 38. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There Judah met the daughters of Canaanite man named Shu. He married her and made love with her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son who named El. She conceived again and gave birth to a son named Onan. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shira. It was at Kezib, and she gave birth to him. Judah got a wife of El, his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But El, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as brother-in-law, to raise up offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the child would not be his. So whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring from his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, leave a window in your father's household until my father Shema grows up, for the thought he may die too, just like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's household. After a long time, Judah's wife and daughter of Shu died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the men who were sharing his sheep, and his friends Hira and Adullamite went with him. Shearing sheep means he was removing the this hair that grows on the skin of sheep, or wool. He was removing wool on the sheep. When Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear his sheep," she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the road of Timnah. For she saw that though Shira had now grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. When Judah saw her, she thought was a prostitute, so she had covered her face. Not recognizing that she was his daughter-in-law, he went over to her by the roadside and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you. Let me sleep with you. And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "I will send you a younger goat from my flock," he said. "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" she asked. He said, "What pledge should I give you?" Yes, sir, and it's cold, and the staff in your hand," she answered. So he gave him to her. He gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left, she took off her veil and put on her widow's clothes again. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend the Adullamite in order to get his pledge back from the woman, but he did not find her. He asked the men who lived there, "Where is the shining prostitute who was beside the road at Enaim?" There wasn't been any shining prostitute here," they said. So he went back to Judah and said, "I did not find her." Besides, the men who lived there said there wasn't been any shining prostitute here. Then Judah said, "Let her keep what she has, or we will become a laughing stock after all. I did send her this young goat, but did not find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution, and as a result, she is now pregnant." Judah said, "Bring her out, and I have her burned to death." And she was being brought out, she sent a message to his father-in-law. I am pregnant by the man who owns this, she said, and she added, see if you recognize whose seal and code and stuff these are. Judah recognized them and said, she is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shira, and he did not sleep with her again. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin brothers in her womb. As she was giving birth to them, put on his hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his waist and said, this one came out first. But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she said, so this is how you have broken out? And he was named Paris. Then his brother, who had scarlet thread on his waist, came out, and he was named Zerah.